Have you ever thought about punching a dinosaur in the face? Well, even if you haven't, now's your chance with the upcoming PvEVP third-person hero shooter Exoprimal. Exoprimal recently had an open beta that I participated in, and while the content was limited as it was mostly just a network test, I had a lot of fun, and honestly I think Exoprimal should be on everyone's radar. Just do keep in mind that this review is based solely on the limited content that we got in the open beta, and we should hopefully expect a lot more content on Exoprimal's full release. As I said before, Exoprimal is a third-person hero shooter where you and a team of 4 other players fight swarms of dinosaurs that have the ability to time travel and mutate. You go around completing objectives such as killing dinosaurs or defending an objective by killing even more dinosaurs. Now, it might sound like I'm making fun of the gameplay loop, but honestly I'm not. Because while the gameplay itself is relatively simple, it's fun, and that's all that I really care about. As you and your team complete objectives, eventually the game culminates into a final PvEVP showdown against another team where both sides compete against one another to complete a final objective, like using a giant hammer to break a fancy looking target, or to collect energy cells that are spread across the field, or by taking them from the enemy team. All the while you're fighting mutant time traveling dinosaurs that take no sides because, well, they're dinosaurs. You're not dinosaur. Therefore, they must kill. Exoprimal's gameplay loop, in my opinion, is absolutely fantastic when it works. When it doesn't, it can be a very frustrating experience due to a variety of reasons, and I'll be breaking down all the parts of the gameplay that I experienced in the open beta in this video. I'll be splitting this video into the general gameplay, PvE, PvP, and then I'll be ending with some additional information and comments that I have about the game. As I said before, the general gameplay of Exoprimal is very fun. As a hero shooter, you have a diverse set of exosuits to choose from, each labeled into 3 different roles: tank, damage, and support. All suits have their own unique abilities and an ultimate ability that charges throughout the game. Some suits are better suited towards the PvP portions of the game, and others excel more at PvP or against bosses. A fun thing about Exoprimal is that you can freely switch what exosuit you're using mid-game with relatively low downtime. So you can switch as you please to better adapt to what's happening, and you don't lose any ultimate charge as well. This may or may not be balanced for PvP, but it does make for a very fun and fluid experience in general. Alongside each suit's abilities, you can also bring one recharging piece of equipment that can be anything from a laser cannon you can use to deal a burst of ranged damage, to a drill arm, and so much more. And just like your exosuits, you're free to change the equipment mid-game as well. Just like other hero shooters, team composition does matter. While you can stack the same exosuit on a team as much as you want, having a variety of exosuits helps a lot. Tanks can take a lot of aggro or protect objectives much better than other suits.
Yeah, you can like hold him down with your shield.
That was actually really cool.
Yeah, you can like hold him with your shield. It's really good. He's
That
really
was,
good for
yeah.
guys.
Damage suits can dish out a lot of damage. Oh, this is bad.
Yeah, I'm getting focused.
Using my ult on them.
I'm dead. No, I'm not dead. Oh, that's Jackson. Yeah, that's bad.
And supports help keep everyone alive through healing and overhealing.
On your left, Jun.
Lacking a specific suit type can be very detrimental to the team, though it isn't as bad in the PvE portions, but it still sucks to be running around without a support to heal you up, because so far it doesn't seem like there's any way to regain health without a support unless you change suits or bring the healing equipment. I have very few complaints about the PvE parts of Exoprimal. The gameplay is fun, and the dinosaurs provide enough of a threat so that you don't get bored, but they're not threatening enough to make you feel like you're being punished just for playing the game. Holy, he just one-shotted me. The objectives can be a bit repetitive, but at the end of the day, you're fighting time-traveling mutant dinosaurs and using exosuits equipped with guns, grenades, and your fists. It's plain stupid fun, and honestly, we need more of that in gaming, especially in the hero shooter genre. The PvP part of Exoprimal is where the game either shines or falls apart entirely. Aside from the preferences of people and whether they love or hate PvP, Exoprimal's PvP can be extremely fun or disappointing depending on how balanced the teams are, even more so in my opinion compared to other PvP games due to the nature of how Exoprimal handles PvP. Let me explain. The general gist of Exoprimal's PvP is that two teams that are unable to interact with one another and can only see one another at certain parts of the game compete against each other to see who can complete the same objectives faster. Now you might be thinking that doesn't even sound like actual PvP. However, Exoprimal allows teams to interfere with one another through a variety of ways, from simply killing a specific dinosaur or neosaur as the game calls them, which makes it so that the opposing team has to deal with stronger dinosaurs, to being able to use an item to control your own dinosaur and attack the opposing team in an effort to slow them down. That's right, you can control a dinosaur. Honestly, being a T-Rex and running down the opposition is probably some of the most fun I've had in a long time. You can be an absolute menace until either the opposing team finally kills you or you run out of time. Got 3 of them.
Nice. Nice.
Destroyed their thing. Come here, you. Ugh.
Escort progress 60%.
On the other hand, being on the receiving end of a player-controlled T-Rex or Triceratops can be extremely unfun to deal with, and you're essentially playing a respawn simulator until they're finally taken down. Exoprimal also suffers the same issues as other PvP games such as CC or crowd control being very unfun to deal with. Seriously, just take a look at this clip where I froze the enemy tank and we bursted him down. I doubt he had any kind of fun there. Oh yeah, take this!
Oh, he's in the air. He's in the air.
He's having fun, alright. The other issue is just general team balancing, and honestly I doubt any game will be able to fix that, especially PvP games. But it still sucks when your games are just one side steamrolling the other until the game finally ends. Exoprimal is also unique in the fact that one team is actually able to win the game before the other team even has a chance. If one side is simply too fast for the other team and completes the objectives much faster and gets to the final objective faster, they can actually win the game before the other team even has a chance. But games where both sides are relatively close, and is going back and forth with both sides having a chance of winning, is an extremely fun experience. The problem is actually getting those kinds of games to begin with. Most of my games have usually been a steamroll one way or the other. Exoprimal attempts to mitigate those issues with the Neosaur and the T-Rex control mechanics that I mentioned earlier, which is a pretty interesting way to try and help with team balance. Though if one team is still simply faster than the other despite all that, and is able to get to the final objective much earlier than the other, then it's entirely possible for that team to complete the final objective and win the game before the other team even gets a chance to contest them. Of course, team balance has to be absolutely atrocious for that to happen, but it's still a possibility, and I can't imagine that it's fun at all for anyone involved in the losing team to lose before they even have a chance to win. While I appreciate Exoprimal's attempt to shake up PvP modes, and I do think that it works well when teams are balanced enough to an extent, I do hope that on the full release they'll have some kind of dedicated PvE only modes, because sometimes I just want to get on, punch a dinosaur in the face, and then get off without having to worry about competing with another team or potentially throwing a match for my teammates. Overall, Exoprimal is an interesting game that I think everyone should be on the lookout for. The gameplay is solid, the different exosuits are unique and offer a variety of playstyles, and while it's not confirmed, it does look like you'll be able to customize your suits to a certain extent, as while playing the game I know as we were leveling up both our suits and our player count as well, and doing so unlocked new items that we weren't able to use in the open beta, but will likely be present in the full game. Though I have a lot of praise for Exoprimal, I do have one thing that worries me a lot, and it's the fact that it looks like Exoprimal might be having a battle pass. One of the things that we were leveling up was called a survival pass, which just sounds like a renamed battle pass to me, and while I'm not really against battle passes in the free game, I worry about them in a game like Exoprimal where it's going to be paid. I'd only really be fine with a battle pass in Exoprimal if it was an entirely free track to level up, because otherwise I don't think battle passes have a place in the paid game to begin with. Aside from that, the only other thing that I'm curious about is the story. Throughout the open beta of Exoprimal, you can clearly see that there seemed to be some kind of lore buildup that implied some kind of story between the way that the characters talked and the various cutscenes as well, from the opening of the game to also the cutscene that involved your own character creation as well. I hope that this implies that there will be an actual storyline, and maybe including a campaign that will hopefully be single player with optional co-op, but we'll see how it goes on the full release. Anyways, y'all, that's it for this review. I'll be posting some gameplay videos throughout the coming weeks, and if you like this video, I recommend subscribing for more game reviews, gameplay, and just because honestly it would make me happy. And don't you want to make someone happy today? Wouldn't that be nice? No? Oh. Alright, well, alright then. Goodbye, I guess.